Nice day to get out for a ride, early spring day. Actually, it's more towards the end of March here. And just want to talk about a few things you might want to look at before you mount up and head out. So especially if your bike has been in storage, if you haven't ridden it frequently during what we would call in the mid-Atlantic of the U.S. here, our off-season. So, a lot of people put away the bike in late summer or sometime fall or early winter and don't ride at all until late spring or early summer. So what you want to look for is your tire pressures, even if you adjusted them a few weeks ago, but it was pretty warm out, and now you're riding, it's really cold, or vice versa. You want to check and make sure that you're not overinflated or underinflated. You want to get the bike up to operating temperature and keep it there for a while the first time you start it up to burn out all the moisture and everything. It's actually more detrimental to your battery because it doesn't get a chance to recharge, and to your motor because it doesn't get a chance to burn off moisture if you just start it and run it for 5 minutes and shut it off. You want to get it out. You want to run it through the gears, at least 20 minutes to get it nice and warmed up. And then, of course, once you've got it up to temp, you want to take a look at your oil and see if it's something you might want to consider replacing either by mileage or time or condition, and make sure that the level is up to snuff. And you're going to want to get it warm before you do that, so you have an accurate reading with all the filter and the passageways and everything full of oil that you actually have enough in the bike. If your bike is liquid cooled, you want to think about the last time you changed the antifreeze. Do a hydrometer test if it's older fluid, older than something manufactured 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. And if it's newer fluid, basically you're going to exchange it on time for extreme mileage. But make sure there's clean cooling fluid on the bike in your cooling system. Check any cooling surfaces, oil cooler or radiator fins for damage. Try and straighten them out before you go. If there's any plugs or obstructions, if you rode through some mud or picked up some road tar or something, try and get that off so air can go through freely. And look over all your nuts and bolts and user serviceable stuff. Just make sure that nothing had backed out or anything that you missed at the time you put away the bike for the season or for the last time you rode it. We mentioned tire pressure earlier. It's also a good idea before you head out to take a look at the sidewalls of your tires. If they're older than 4 or 5 years old, make sure that there's no sidewall checking, meaning like little hairline cracks indicating the beginning of dry rot, and also that the tire tread depth is sufficient. And I know we're rehashing some of the stuff we've covered in other videos here, but it's always worth mentioning, especially for people for whom it's the beginning of the riding season. You really want to make sure that you keep on top of that. Man, it is a beautiful day out here. Let's see what the temperature is right now. Yeah, it's reading 61 degrees, 62 degrees, and even with the wind chill, I'm telling you, the sun is really warming things up nicely. Feels good. Always a good day to ride. So the other thing you're going to want to look at before you go out is your gear. How old's your helmet? Was it ever dropped from 4 feet or higher? Did you take a hit? Did a hunk of 2x4 come off the back of a construction truck and clunk you upside the helmet? That might have compromised the safety. I get it. Helmets are expensive, and it's a pain in the butt to size them. And going through the whole process, It's honestly worse than getting glasses, because you're probably going to replace your glasses 1 or 2, 3 times in the time you keep a helmet. And it's also a bit daunting if you have integrated communications in the helmet that basically can't be transferred to the new helmet. You kind of view that as a loss, and that's going to be a bit of an upcharge, either getting a replacement helmet with comms built into it, or choosing to buy aftermarket comms and retrofitting them to the helmet, whether it's a helmet already designed to accommodate them, or you're going to have to kind of figure it out as you go and try and safely attach it. But yeah, inspect the helmet, inspect the strap. If you have a quick release mechanism installed, look at that for signs of wear. Give it a really sharp tug a few times and make sure the straps don't slip in the quick release mechanism, and make sure that the quick release mechanism doesn't come apart when you don't want it to. Also very important stuff there. And then all your normal ATGAT, all the gear all the time. You want to make sure that you have gloves that are in good condition. If you have pants or a jacket or gloves or shoes with CE style armor, any kind of protection, take a look at them, make sure they haven't been compromised. Regarding your footwear, kind of like your tires, look at the sole and make sure that you have adequate tread on the bottom left still. A lot of times people ignore that, and you get caught in a light sprinkle unexpectedly, and all the oil comes up out of the road, and you're managing your ride okay. You go to put your foot down, and it half slips out from under you, and that can make for a real pucker moment, trying to keep the bike upright when your feet don't have any traction. So pay close attention to that footwear as well. That's really something that a lot of people, since some people buy boots or riding shoes that they only wear when they ride, it's kind of not at their top of mind to be looking for wear and tear on those, and they can degrade over time. You want to make sure the stitching and everything is all good. That's a little nitpicky, but definitely something you want to do at least once a season, and I would recommend beginning and the end of season. And I say end of season because a lot of times stuff goes on sale, and if you figure out that you're up for a new pair of boots or pants or jacket or whatever for the season that you ride in at the end of the season, they're usually going on sale. So you can pick up a replacement at a bargain, just it's a cost you're going to lay out that you're not really going to take advantage of until next riding season. Take a look at your windshield or fairing if you have one. Make sure it's mounted correctly. Check if you have saddlebags or a tour pack or a trunk that they're mounted securely. Nothing's backed out. Nothing's going to give. The lids stay closed when you want them to stay closed. All that sort of fun, happy stuff. And you're paying a lot of attention to this now, so you don't have to pay attention to it while you're rolling down the road in traffic. And as you saw just a little bit ago, somebody started crossing a double yellow line because they wanted to turn, and the car in front of them was going in a way they didn't want to. They decided they didn't want to wait. They started obstructing our right-of-way here. So, again, you don't want to be dealing with problems when your eyes and your mind should be on the road. You also want to take some time to get to know any new gear or equipment, lighting, comms, jacket, whatever. So you have that muscle memory already in place before you take off on a long ride, or any kind of ride, really. The time to learn is not while you're rolling. Unless you're on a private road somewhere where there's no other traffic, you really don't want to be trying to figure stuff out. And honestly, even in a situation like that, you really should be having your eyes on the road and concentrating. You should be able to use all your gadgets, gizmos, and accessories, and adjust your articles of clothing with just a glance, because you have that muscle memory already in place. And One of my favorite merges here. Short merge lane, that's why I made that comment. And people tend to overrun the speed limit here by quite a bit. I don't know why, but they just do. So I'm kind of surprised when it doesn't look like we're picking up that much wind noise according to the volume meter on my recording. But we'll see. We'll check it in post. Give this guy some space. Man, what a gorgeous day. That's the fastest the post office has moved in the past year. I still got something coming. USPS was supposed to have been here yesterday by 9 p.m., and obviously they missed the mark because I'm talking about it, and they don't have an updated ETA. I guess they're making up for lost time because that guy's doing about 5 or 10 over. Your tax dollars at work, folks. So another thing, if you are not a novice rider, but somebody that doesn't do their own maintenance or doesn't know a whole lot about maintenance, and your bike is outside the warranty period, and you haven't really spent any quality time with the owner's manual or online looking up the maintenance intervals in the owner's manual or on the factory's website, you want to take a little bit of time and figure out when the steering head bearing was supposed to have been adjusted and make sure that that was done. That is something that greatly affects ride quality for the front end, equal to or more important than having a good front tire on the bike. It can just really mess you up. You've heard the term death wobble. That can introduce it. That brings up another little safety tip, and that is you heard me downshifting while we're riding here, and one of the things that slips your mind is that your ability to slow down without touching the brake far exceeds the ability of someone behind you to perceive that you're slowing down, let alone realize how quickly you can do it. So if you are slowing down and coming to a stop, you might want to lightly apply a little bit of rear brake pressure, as long as there's not oil or wet road where you might introduce a slide. But what you're trying to do is get the rear brake light illuminated so that they get an idea that you're coming to a stop, even if you just blip it a couple of times here and there. It's kind of an annoyance, and you don't have to hit it so hard that you porpoise, bob up and down as you do it, but give the person behind you an idea that you're slowing down. And you would think it would be obvious, especially when you're coming up to a red light, but you know how it is. Somebody's in there messing with the stereo, messing with the navigation system, messing with the phone, doing just about everything but driving, and they look up and didn't realize that you were slowing down or coming to a stop, and all of a sudden, they're beyond their limit to come to a complete stop before they meet the back of your bike because their stopping distance is impeded because their following distance was impeded. So that's a quick case of you being able to help you. Suppose I could have picked the road with a few less red lights. My wife and I have a running joke that all the red lights are for me when she drives. She hardly hits any. When I drive, I seem to hit every one. I think part of the problem is I do generally hang within 5 miles of the speed limit, and people can pick up a rhythm where they're doing a little more than that and seem to jump through all the lights. But I would rather come to a stop than force a yellow with some kid on the other side or whoever. It doesn't have to be a kid ready to jump the light. What do we got for a temperature? Yeah, holding 62. Not bad at all for late March. I'll take it. This time 3 years ago, we were shoveling up about a foot of snow. So I'll take this over that any day. See if I can't get you down a back road here that was a bit more rural than it is right now at the moment. They're starting to develop around here. Every square inch of land is looking to be purchased if it's not already for development. Here's a case in point where it's really important to tap that brake early. Short turn lane, probably won't make it through this light. Not with my luck. Yeah, might be my lucky day. We'll see. Nope, ain't happening. All right. We'll just hang out. And like I said, had that turn lane pretty much already filled up, and traffic on the right coming in. Good idea to give that tail light a flicker or two before you have to get on it for your stop, just to let everybody know what's going on. So I was talking about this road we're about to go down. So the way it works around here is they're more interested in getting the tax parcel built. We pay property taxes around here, so they're more interested in getting the property built so they can tax it than they are about the infrastructure. So they give the builder the permit to build and worry about drainage, sewage, water supply, electric, and the roads later. Kind of a bass-backwards way of going about it, but that's the way it happens around here. So we'll pass a couple of previously open farm fields that have obvious construction going on. Another quick safety item to check is your brake fluid. So if you have a sight window, look in there, see how discolored it is. See if you see more than one line. And what I mean is there's a line that shows it's level, the fluid line, but if you see another fluid line in there, that usually means that there's water in there. And if the brake fluid is more than 2 years old and you're not fully synthetic, we're running a non-hygroscopic fluid, which means normal brake fluid is hygroscopic, it'll absorb water, and water contains air, and air is more compressible than, or softer, however you want to put it, than the hydraulic fluid. So you want to get that out of the system. So if it's been a couple of years, or you see dark fluid, or you see a double line in the sight window, a double fluid line, you might want to consider swapping that fluid out for fresh fluid. If you have hydraulic clutch, same thing. And don't forget to lead the whole system front and back. And if you have anti-lock brakes and linked anti-lock brakes, make sure that you follow the manufacturer's recommendation for leading that out to get as much out of the system as you possibly can, and to make sure that you don't introduce any air into the system. Not hard to do. Something most DIYers can do themselves with pretty much basic tools. So here's some of that construction. Just kind of looks out of place out of the blue here. I don't know how much of it you can see off to the left here. But it's going to be homes. People need homes. Around here, the housing supply is low. 30 years ago, you couldn't pay somebody to come this far south in the state we're in. And now they're driving another 60 minutes south of here. 60 minutes highway time. So the running joke used to be, oh, it'll all be paved from one end to the other. And it's not quite as laughable as it used to be, especially for a state that had been known for agriculture. So if you've been kind of watching this ride, see I'm taking it easy, I'm taking it cautious, I'm giving people a wide berth, you know, excusing their poor behavior, even if they cut in front of me, you know, not trying to get into anything, and generally driving just about the speed limit, maybe just, you know, 1 or 2 miles an hour over, just so I'm not too far out of sync with the prevailing rate of traffic, because that's more dangerous than going a little bit faster than they are, so you're matched up. The more people that pass you, the worse risk you're in. And what that results in is taking everything down a notch, the bike feeling just a little bit more planted, knowing that you have a bit more reaction time. And especially here where, you know, I'm preaching don't be distracted, but I'm blogging. And just like talking on a cell phone, even if it's hands-free, while you're driving, part of your mental faculties are dedicated elsewhere. You know, there's no way you can be paying the exact same amount of attention when you're doing this or talking on the cell phone or having a conversation with somebody in the car than you can be while you're just quietly rolling along. So tool along on a day like today allows you to just kind of take it easy and appreciate stuff you might not really have noticed before. You're able to pick up on road cues and clues a lot earlier, especially in the spring. Like here's a cyclist that just went around this delivery truck. You know, if you were coming down here 70 miles an hour, you might, even with that lime green on, you might not have picked him out. You know, if there's potholes and stuff that are going to appear over the wintertime, even on your favorite road that you know, that don't look like anything when you're driving your car, so you don't pay them any mind. And all of a sudden you're on two wheels, not in your car, your truck, or what have you, and you're like, hey, that's pretty significant. I gotta do some avoidance here, or prepare to have to go over something rough. All right. Trying something different with the audio, guys. Leave a comment. I got a sneaking suspicion it's going to sound a little overdriven, meaning that the microphone input's too high, and I'm going to have to work on getting that back down. But I am using the Bluetooth that's integrated in the helmet in order to transmit directly to the phone, which can accept the Bluetooth mic, which I can then use that as the audio source for the video that we're going to post here when I combine it with the action camera. Should have the ability soon. I mentioned that USPS delivery I'm waiting on, getting an action camera to which I can actually mate a aftermarket in the terms of the brand of the action camera, Bluetooth transmitter receiver, and I guess basically receiver, and get the audio directly into the camera and skip all these other steps. If I do a forward-facing camera and a selfie-facing camera like I'm doing with this one, I guess there's that same effort in post, but I would like to get the audio onto the forward-facing just to make my life easier the way I want to record going forward. And I hate this blind turn. All right, here we go. All right, guys. Just a short little trip out and enjoy the sunshine today. I hope you enjoyed the diversion, maybe picked up a couple of tidbits or pointers. And just a reminder, as always, ride safe. Namaste.